Hi guys. Y'all been waiting for me. Not really. I haven't taken that long. I definitely have procrastinated just a little bit on this one. Um and I feel like that's likely because there is so much to unpack in this solar plexus chakra. So welcome back to Heal with Me. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about today, the solar plexus chakra. It is the third chakra, guys. Y'all know I take a lot of notes, right? So I definitely did that, and I have quite a few here, but a lot of good information because I don't want to leave nothing out. Okay, so let's get into it. I'm gonna have to get a new office chair, y'all. My little chair just falling apart, honey. So let's talk a little bit about the solar plexus chakra. It is located in the belly area, above the navel. It's like the stomach, the gut, part of your sternum, your diaphragm area. But it is the core of your personal identity and how your personality, and your personal identity, how you see yourself, your authentic self, who you truly are. So it is connected to, of course, the color yellow. So you see, and I own a lot of yellow. So as I was doing this research for this video, I was like, wow, it's so funny how drawn to yellow I am. And as I was continuing to read, I'm like, that's probably why, well, part of it anyway. I'm also a Leo, sun energy. But probably part of the reason why Spirit often guides me to yellow, the color yellow. Because, yeah, honey, that solar plexus chakra has definitely seen some imbalance in my lifespan. So the Sanskrit word for the solar plexus chakra is Manipura. And it literally means the city of jewels or jewel city. But I think there's a place in India called Manipur. And it's like, the jewel city. Anyway, and of course the color yellow. So this one it starts developing like in late childhood, that pre-puberty and time of puberty, as well as adolescence, and it continues to open and kind of fight for dominance with the sacral chakra. Hope you guys have watched that video already. Up until, well, it kind of fights for dominance throughout your teenage years, and then continues to develop and kind of take over how you appear and function in the world up until you're about 21. All right. So the age that this may be specifically dominant starts in your teen years. So like 13, 14, those ages. And honey, it just makes so much sense because, those teenage years, first of all, as a parent, can be really tough, right? Because you're still trying to guide your child, but of course it can be tough as a parent, but it can be tough as an individual as well, because you're still trying to guide your child and help them to make right choices, but you also want to foster that independence in them. Most people do. You should foster that independence in them that allows them to rely on themselves to make the choices that are best for them and good for them, right? So it's like a slippery slope. So while you still have like a sense of authority, they, as their solar plexus chakra is developing, they're kind of fighting for their independence. They're fighting to kind of take some of that authority away from you, right? And of course, we have to adjust and get used to allowing that for them, in them. Okay, so, oh, I just said all that, and I didn't even look at my paper. Oh yeah, so I'm surprising me, but a lot of stuff I didn't even write down because I was like, oh, lived it, know it. You know what I mean? But that sacral chakra, the sacral chakra is more about that pleasure-seeking energy, right? Where we want to have fun. That's that child energy. We want to have fun. We want to do the things that are fun to us, right? But it's like the pleasure versus pain or pleasure versus punishment energy. But as you get older and you become more about who you are, then something else takes over, and it's more of a who am I, not who that people pleasing energy or that parent pleasing energy that the sacral chakra kind of rules. Okay, like you have this energy and this desire to make your parents happy. You have this energy and desire to fulfill what it is that they want for you. Complete opposite with the solar plexus chakra, which is why I feel like which makes this such a challenging time in children's lives and young adults' lives, but also in the lives of parents as this chakra develops. Okay, so what does it govern? It governs your willpower. It governs your inner peace. It governs your personal power, your personal sense of authority. It governs your self-confidence, your self-worth, your self-acceptance, how you accept yourself, how you trust yourself and accept. And when I say trust yourself, I mean your gut feelings, your intuition. The solar plexus chakra is very, very closely related to intuition, because it's when, like I said, you learn to trust yourself and to make decisions on your own that are going to be best for you. So if you are in an environment where it's been overly strict or you have been overly restricted, right, it can create that imbalance, because it's like, dang, when you are forced to make choices on your own, it can be kind of confusing. So I'm getting ahead of myself. It can be kind of confusing. It can be difficult to make choices. You may be super indecisive as a result of that. Because why? Because you're so used to giving your authority to someone else, your power, your personal power to someone else, and having them to make those choices for you. So that's why it's so important to try to foster independence in children. But yeah, it's at this time with this particular chakra, where we're moving towards finding our sense of individuality, separating from our family and our tribe, based on our own choices and our own actions. And we're just kind of developing a value system, like what is important to us, what matters more to us. And of course, that's going to be influenced by not only the family that's around you, of course, how you grew up or who you grew up with, but what is also happening at your schools. Let me get on that. What's happening at your schools, what the kids your age think is acceptable or is not, what society is placing focus on, right? So you are learning to kind of judge based on what is around you. But it's also a time where, because you are so connected to things outside of the home and your place outside of the home, it's very critical to have this chakra imbalance, okay? Because this is a time where children's peers and society really, really strongly influences how we perceive ourselves and what we deem as acceptable. So when you are, goosies right now. So when you are in a space and you're being bullied, or you're being mistreated, or someone's making fun of you, that creates trauma, and that's going to create an imbalance in this chakra. Okay, this is definitely the chakra that out of balance houses shame, the things that we internalize that we should feel shameful for, or that we have been ridiculed for. Okay, so man, that's why it is so important. It is so important to strengthen this chakra in your child and for your child and with your child, and to help them to do that, really, because it's a personal thing for sure. But this is also why it's so important to place the spotlight on bullying, right? Because, and we see a lot of bullying incidents in suicide or even killing of other people, right? So yeah, it is all connected to this type of energy. So because this is where we're starting, like I said, to think for ourselves, and we're growing self-awareness. But you judge that based on what's going on around you. Okay, so from a physical standpoint, the parts of the body that are affected by this chakra are the pancreas. It's the GI issues, any gastrointestinal issues. And I think about that because my son, he was born with Down syndrome. And of course, epigenetically, things cross over through genetics, even though they still say that Down syndrome is not a genetic situation. But I feel like some of the disorders that come as a result of having that extra chromosome definitely can be reflective, right? So my son was born with Downs. He had a lot of GI issues coming up. We actually ended up having to have two um, colostomies in place because he had some of his intestines removed. Lots of diverticulitis, a lab procedure where they had to kind of restructure his intestines, a lot of malfunction in those areas, obstruction. He was born with that and had to, second day of surgery, have that taken care of. So just a lot of GI issues and issues with digestion and whatnot. And so as I think about that, and actually that's just really kind of coming to me now, as I think about that, that definitely could have been, and I'm not even blaming myself because, God allows what God allows and it's for a reason. But definitely could likely be connected to not just me, but generations in my family of solar plexus chakra imbalance, right? Because every child born with Down syndrome won't have GI issues, but it is very common. So this governs everything about the gastrointestinal tract. It is the pancreas, it is the stomach, it is the liver, it is gallbladder, it's the small intestines, it's the spleen, it's the abdomen, it's the sternum from the 1st to 12th vertebrae. And also, like, if you bloat a lot, or you could eat just any old thing and it gives you gas, right? This could be a solar plexus chakra imbalance that you need to take a look at. What else do I want to say about that? Yeah, so basically during this time, we are really figuring out what kind of person we want to be, which I said, as opposed to the sacral chakra, where it's more governed by that. I just saw 1144 on the clock, 1144, where it's more about that desire to please and belong to the family. During this time, it's transitioning from that sacral chakra to the solar plexus chakra, and it's almost a complete opposite, And so you kind of moving from that emotional ego, because kids are like, I want this, I want it now, I'm going to get it, right? Think about a kid on the playground, like, I wanted that toy, so I took it from her, right? So you go from that stage to a stage where you are ruled less by your emotions, but more by your mentality. So it's like where you've learned that, okay, taking stuff from people ain't right. Well, depending on your value system, right, and how you are developing that. But so you transition from that emotional ego to your mental ego, and it's literally a struggle because you kind of go back and forth between that, because also this is a time where your judgment center, that frontal cortex, is not fully developed. And I think they've recently learned, Goosey's going crazy, they've recently learned that, I don't know how recently, because I learned this a few years ago, so, but that judgment center doesn't completely or fully develop until you're like 25 or 26, right? And so, yeah, isn't that crazy? So you're moving from these two, and you're going back and forth, and you're developing this sense of self, this sense of independence, this sense of your mental ego, what's right and what's wrong. And it's through that entire time. All right. So like I said, the first chakra is more connected to your family, your immediate family. The second chakra is kind of connected to your friends, but also your parents and your close, intimate relationships. The third is more connected to the community, the world, your surrounding society, your culture at the time. Let's talk about that. With what I previously stated was with trauma, how it can become out of balance is through trauma, maybe bullying, family problems, or anything like social challenges that are occurring in the world at the time. Also, extreme criticism can create trauma, and it's a time where not only are you sensitive to other people's criticisms, but you may easily or quickly internalize the criticism because you're trying to figure yourself out, and then you have people correcting this or criticizing you for feeling this way or for wanting this thing or for being interested in that thing, and then you internalize that criticism, so you in turn may start to criticize yourself in an excessive way, and to judge other people in the same way that you're doing it to yourself. Okay. How else? Of course, cultural influences again. All of these things can create an imbalance there. So even also when you are in an energy where people kind of shut down your desires or what you're interested in, or people say, oh, that's stupid, or that's silly, or why do you like that, right? And it's so crazy because I had to kind of learn that about myself with my own children, how that stifles their independence when I say, oh, don't do that, that's ridiculous, or like, oh, you want to do that, okay, like, I really had to check myself on that, y'all. I'm telling you, I am not a parent that is above apologizing. I've definitely had to apologize to my sons over the years for some things that I feel like, one, I created, I fostered, and kind of influenced in a way. But once you know better, you do better. So we definitely have a lot of conversations where we go back and talk about these things. But yeah, so this is also a time where, like, the things that you are excited about, that interest you, where you're developing your own interests and your own identity, if it's something you're proud of and that pride is threatened, right? It can turn from feeling that threatened pride to anger. It can manifest as you being angry, or because of the judgment, and feeling hurt as a result of that. So humiliation, guilt, and then even self-hatred can develop. Because why? Because people around me seem to hate me, right? And that all affects, of course, your self-esteem and your personal identity. My goosebumps are going crazy. So I don't know who needs to hear this, but I know people need to hear it. I'm telling you, because I was listening to this like, whoa. Because I don't feel like I was a person who was really bullied as a child or middle school, but I was definitely different. I was a super geek. Can you tell a little bit? And I'm not ashamed of that. And I wasn't really ashamed of it then, but I kind of grew to be comfortable with being different from those around me. I'll say it that way. I grew to be comfortable with standing out. Okay. But yeah, I feel like that probably still created some type of wounding, that showed up in that. And my mom was kind of strict too. My mom was like, it was definitely some sacral chakra things where it's like, don't make her mad. You know what I'm saying? So that people-pleasing energy, and that can develop and carry over into your adulthood as well. I remember my sister Monica, saying one time, like, why do you care so much what she thinks? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, as an adult, I was like a young adult teen, not teen. Yeah, probably like 19, 20, 21, and older. And she was like, why do you care so much what she thinks? But that was that imbalance there in that sacral and solar plexus chakra. So anyway, so imbalance. Let me show you how that looks. Let me tell you how that looks as an imbalance in that chakra. And it could be either overactive or it can be underactive. Same with the sacral chakra, where you may go from having like zero libido, no interest in sex, to being like oversexed, okay? Where everything's sexual or sexualized, right? So it's the same in any and every chakra, and they all really just connect, especially these lower ones. The first, second, and third are considered the lower chakras, and they are all very deeply intertwined, because as one is kind of ruling this certain time in our life, and we're kind of learning to let go of that to grow into the next one, then it's like there's a mingling, and there's a mixture of the familiarity and being okay. Is it okay to take my power back, to not back because you're starting out, but is it okay to take control of myself, and to exercise my personal authority, because we've been in this space where we've been doing what our parents wanted us to do, right? And so a lot of people grow up, and let me give you this, well, I just said it. A lot of people grow up with this imbalance to affect their lives in pure adulthood, where you can't make decisions because it's something that your parents wouldn't approve of, right? Well, I wanted to, example, this is not true, but it's just an example. I want to be a musician, but my mom wants me to be a lawyer or a doctor. Well, I don't want to let them down, so forget it. I'm going to just go to law school, right? Get to law school, fail out miserably, and then you carrying that guilt and that shame because it's like I let them down. But really what you should have been doing in the first place was following your own heart and what it is that you wanted to do. And your parents likely have some type of imbalance as well, because they feel the need to not allow you to have that personal authority to make those decisions, right? So that's not right either, parents, okay? But in an imbalanced energy, you may experience like a lack of control, a loss of identity, certain emotional problems. Like I said, how that anger and that aggression can develop. That feeling of helplessness, of powerlessness, like because you may be so used to someone else making the decision. 2020 on the clock. This could be definitely relevant to partnerships as well. Um, yeah, definitely. But you may be so used to having someone make decisions for you or call the shots for you. When it's time for you to make the decisions, you're like, I don't know. You feel helpless. You feel like you don't have power or you don't deserve power. This is a lot of, I'm going to use men, but even women. Women do it, where they go from directly being in their parents' homes to having a spouse, or moving in or living with a spouse and having that spouse kind of control everything, call the shots for them. That person may likely have a solar plexus chakra imbalance or develop one, because they've never had that time to experience their sense of self, right? So self-doubt, because why? You're not used to making these decisions for yourself. So when you have to do it, it's like, is that right? Is that the right choice? You don't know, because imbalance. Definitely a lack of confidence there, a lack of self-esteem, that indecisive energy. You may feel like you're not knowing your purpose, or that there is no purpose for you. Why? Because nobody's told it to you. And in the other way, you could also end up being like, when it's an overactive chakra, you can end up being too competitive or too controlling, in that you become bossy or you become extra possessive. You may also place yourself in that victim mentality and just carry a sense of rejection. And this can be definitely exhibited in teens who experience that trauma, where they've been bullied or ridiculed or humiliated in their peer groups. Definitely feelings of inadequacy, like you're not good enough. Like if you don't have what's most trending in society at this time for you in the age group that you're in, what your peers have, right? That you are not adequate. It is the reason why we feel we need iPhones, right? Why the hell? Don't get me started on that. Why the hell you need $1,000 iPhone when you got a regular phone that can do just everything and more, that but it's trendy, right? And so without it, you may feel like inadequate, and you may want to or feel the need to do more in order to get those things. It's still a result of imbalance. And this is really like, where you are kind of dependent on other people, codependency, dependent on other people to kind of create your reality for you, right? Like, this is what I see for you. This is who I think you are. And so then it's like, well, they said this, so this is who I'm going to be, right? And again, going from that parent connection to that spousal connection, where you develop that codependency in a partnership. That's why it is so important. And so many people, honey, so many people experience this codependent energy in relationships. And it comes up in the tarot readings all the time, where you kind of don't know who you are outside of the connection. Who are you outside of? And that's because you haven't had that time, or you haven't taken that time or space to discover who you are and what you really like and what really matters to you, and to really not activate it, but apply yourself in using your own voice. You went from one mother to a mother in a spouse, or one father to a father in a spouse. So, it's definitely important to take some time to be sure about who you are before you're moving in and out of relationships. And that's another thing where people go from one failed relationship and then they jump right into another one. They already got somebody waiting on the back burner, and then you end up repeating the cycle and wondering why it's not working, because you never got a chance to know yourself. So the same thing that happened with that previous codependent connection, you've just kind of transferred your energy to this person, right? And it happens in friendships too. where even if you don't have a spouse, you and this friend are together 24/7. Y'all got to talk about everything. Y'all got to run all these decisions through and it's good to have friendships, but it's also good to set boundaries and know yourself so that you don't blend into that other person. So when there are changes in that connection, as we are all individuals and all, end up moving and living our own lives, that you can handle it. You can take that transitional time. Wow, just saw 456 on the clock, angel number. But yes, you may also end up, like I said, being too controlling. You may end up being too judgmental of yourself and others. And often this is a reflection of not only your own insecurities, but what other people have done to you. So if you are someone who, again, back to the bullying example, who's experienced a lot of that, and is people judging you or people saying, oh, that's dumb, or even in your family where people shoot down your interests, or ridicule your interests. So that's why also it's important, guys, to not allow that amongst siblings, because there can be damage done to that chakra in that child. And usually when a child feels the need to do that or to be in that energy, it's likely something that they've experienced on some level as well. But yeah, you could be too judgmental of yourself and of others. You can also be super critical, same thing, right? You could be excessively stubborn. Why? Because in this battle for your own identity, to have your power, to take control of a situation, it's like nobody can tell me nothing, right? And so you end up being stubborn about things that, yeah, even those things you need to address and change, you're refusing to see it, refusing to accept it, because you're in that stubborn energy where you are fighting for your own sense of authority. Okay. You can also have that scattered energy where you just don't know what to do. That's the same as indecisiveness, where you're needing to constantly be active, right? And usually I feel people who have a need to constantly be active anyway, likely are running from something, right? And it's usually running from sitting, from being alone, from feeling like, yeah, because a lot of times when you sit, who are you sitting with? You're sitting with yourself. You're sitting in silence. When you're not moving, you have to sit. You have to think. Things may come up that you don't want to think about. So often, I'm getting Gemini energy just in speaking that, where they have Sagittarius energy as well, where they have to have something to do, and it's like you end up doing a whole bunch of nothing. But at least you were constantly moving, right? So you're content, where someone else on the outside of you who's in a more balanced state would look at that like, why are we still doing these things? Like, can we rest? Can we sit? Can we chill? Right? But that is usually an escapism kind of energy, where you have to stay active because you're not comfortable sitting with yourself. And usually if you are not comfortable sitting still or sitting with yourself, it's because of there's something that you need to probably think about or address that you don't want to address. Okay. You could also be someone who is super passive, right? Or you have weak will. People can talk you into things fairly easily, or you allow yourself to be kind of ran over. Same thing as a person who is bullied. You can also be extra fearful of starting new things or embracing new things, because why? When you do things, or when you've done things, you may have been made fun of, right? Or just made to feel like that was a dumb idea. Like, I really like that, but people probably think it's stupid, so I won't do it. That kind of energy. You could also be extra sluggish and just really like slow moving, slow to act kind of energy. So that's a lot, ain't it? Ain't that a lot? That's a lot. But when you're in a more balanced energy, guys, you have a stronger sense of self. You are more confident in who you are. You are confident in your self-worth, right? But you know what you ain't gonna do, right? What does it say? What's the saying? If you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Super, super true. So it's like you have this sense of self-worth, where it's like, and self-value, where it's like, yeah, no, you're not gonna be able to handle me like that. You know what I mean? Because that's that you're in that confident energy where you know who you are and you know what you ain't gonna settle for, right? That energy of self-trust that is also connected to your intuition. And again, when it's in balance, you likely have a strong intuition. But when it is not in balance and you don't trust yourself to make these decisions, it's likely that imbalance. Also, self-respect. Self-respect and decisiveness. So I remember, mama don't listen to this part, but no, I remember this guy I was dating. I've been dating him for like 2 or 3 years. We was coming back from somewhere outside of my house, and yeah, he was trying to get some stuff, and I was like, this is when I realized, well, in writing this, I was like, oh yeah, my solar plexus chakra was definitely opening at that time. My intuition was getting strong. But I was like, boy, like, I won't say the words because I probably cussed at him. But what a queen look like doing that? Like, what a queen look like? You know what I mean? And he was like, oh, you're right. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like people have to see you the way you see yourself, right? People have to treat you the way you see yourself. So if you are in a space or you are used to doing things where you don't respect yourself, you're teaching essentially people how to treat you. But when this chakra's in balance, you have a lot of self-respect. You are more decisive and less passive. You are willing to not. Whereas in the sacral chakra, you may be willing to do things that are more risky because it's like that childlike need to satisfy. I want and I'm happy with and I want this, right? So you are willing to do things that are more risky. But when this chakra begins to develop and really take over how you move in life, your risk taking is going to be like more reasonable, but you're still open to it. You're still open to new experiences, but it's just, within reason, not to be mistaken with being overly fearful of things. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Also, you are confident in your ability to create change in your life. Like you're not sitting around like, there's nothing, I don't know what to do, I won't be able to fix this, right? It's definitely an energy when you're in imbalance of the glass half full, because people who are more pessimistic definitely connected to an imbalanced solar plexus chakra. We also, yeah, so when it's in balance, you are more optimistic, you're more determined, you are able to really exercise your freedom of choice, and you're comfortable doing that, right? You know that you have the right to make decisions. You have, and you're capable of doing so. Okay. And like I said, you are more firm and direct in the decisions and the choices that you make, So, how do we fix this? How do we balance this chakra out? Well, I'm going to always be a strong advocate for meditation, because I just feel like it truly just, I don't know how it magically works, guys. It just magically works. But it truly just opened up and activated so much change and growth and healing in my life. So I'll forever be indebted to it. I'll forever be an advocate for it. So start there. Also, color therapy. If you find yourself like being drawn to a lot of a certain color, the universe might be speaking to you, okay? So of course, color therapy. Of course, aromatherapy. There are certain scents, lemon scents, citrus scents, that match this color. Yellow, oranges, those things, all of those things help with the solar chakra, solar plexus chakra balancing. You could also, like I said, get out and try new things, because you don't know what you like and don't like until you do things, right? So it's very important to go through that phase or that period of self-discovery and try to make yourself comfortable with stepping out of your comfort zone, even if it's just baby steps. It all counts and it all matters. Also, definitely getting outside. The sun. It is such, y'all, when I tell y'all it's healing, it is super healing. So sunbathing, and I thought about that with the energy of aggression that goes with it. As Black people, we're like, oh, I don't want to be in the sun, or I ain't trying to be in the sun. And us having been and I say that collectively, us, having been oppressed for so many years, it's easy to do because we don't even like to be in the sunshine, right? But those who are used to that and out and being in it, I feel like you probably have a stronger solar plexus where it's like, yeah, the a rebellion was built on sunbathing, okay, or people, black people, I don't want to say it like that. Black people who are comfortable in the sun, all right, who are comfortable standing out. But anyway, so the sun, super important. Sunbathing, walking, exercising, all of these things. Of course, meditating, yoga, even, and physical exercise. You also have certain foods, lemons, yellow bell peppers, bananas, all of these things help with that. And certain oils, some of the oils that I found was cedar wood, grapefruit oil, black pepper oil, ginger root oil, eucalyptus, and lemon oil. And for the crystals, good old pyrite here. The tiger's eye, I only have a few of them. The citrine, of course. You also can get amber. You can get yellow tourmaline. I thought that sounded so beautiful. I'm like, I got to go look that up. Yellow tourmaline, that lemon quartz. It's same family as, of course, the quartz crystal, that clear white crystal, but you can get them in different shades and colors. So lemon quartz crystal, that sounds gorgeous. And the sunstone. And yeah, you can also show yourself more compassion, especially when you're in a space where you feel like the world is so hard on you. Make a conscious choice to not be as hard on yourself as the world may feel like it is on you. Okay, make a conscious choice to not place yourself in a victim mentality. Make a conscious choice to assert yourself when necessary, to create boundaries and take your personal power back. Also, the sound that is connected to this chakra is the RAM, ram or ram, but it's that deep belly breathing, because why? It's in the belly, right? Rum. That's the sound that comes with that. So if you are wondering if your chakra is in or out of balance, definitely ask yourself if you blindly follow authority. These are people who are just like, I'm gonna tell something else. These are people who are just like, well, the government said it, so it must be true. Well, this is what the cops say, so that's got to be the way it is. Yeah, so ask yourself if you, or even not even taking it on a global scale, a personal scale, like say if you've been given a task to clean the kitchen and your mom is like, well, wipe the stove down first, then start the dishes, and you are in a space where you're contemplating, well, I'm gonna just do the dishes first and then I'll clean the stove last. I wonder if that's okay, right? Like, you just blindly follow authority when really, and that's something that I used to tell my mom all the time, especially after I had my son Gabriel, like, it is more than one way to skin a cat. Just because I don't do things the way that you want them to do does not mean it's, one, not gonna get done and that I'm doing it wrong. You know what I mean? So we definitely had some battles there when he was a little baby. Also, ask yourself, do you lack confidence? Ask yourself, are you pessimistic? Are you expecting the worst? Are you assuming the worst is going to happen? Ask yourself, are you afraid to take any risk? Right? Are you afraid to try new things? If your answer to any of these are yes, then you likely are dealing with a solar plexus chakra imbalance, and likely can find connection in the previous two as well, the second and first chakra. So definitely start with meditation on all of those. We are going to now take a quick little look at some of the questions on our chakra cards. And then I'm going to leave you guys with some I am statements. And we'll wrap it up. Y'all, I told you, I knew this one was going to be a little bit longer because, like, it just truly governs a lot and it shows up in our lives in an imbalanced and balanced way. It shows up in everything, essentially, right? So yeah, let's take a look at these. Guys, this is a perfect time for me to point out that we definitely do inner child healing readings. We do chakra balancing readings to focus on what chakra you need. So definitely, if you'd be interested in any of those, get in touch with me, because I love that. I love that. I love it. One, it says a lot about your own growth and development when you have a desire to look into these things, because it ain't something that everybody's going to look into. Why? Because it's not easy, right? It's not easy. So we'll start here with the Chakra Wisdom Oracle deck. Well, let's start with joy. This card, joy, to ask you to, is all about that energy of risk and risk taking, right? And that the feelings towards happiness or unhappiness that you carry inside radiating, right? It's choosing joy. It says, let's jump and see what happens. It's being comfortable with having new experiences. We also have the card enlightenment. This is about your decision making. Okay, your decision making and what your true destiny is, who you are, your life purpose, and how you can mix those and create something amazing. It's also, you also have here the prayer card. And that particular card is about having a willingness to change your mind and letting go of control, right? So it's for the over controlling. So this is an energy of surrender, of letting go and letting God, so to speak, that kind of energy. You also have here the facade, and you see this man on this card and this child, they are one and the same, okay? But he didn't realize until he got older, Goosey's going crazy, until he got older, how he had been wearing a facade since he was a child, that there was an inner child wound here. And that facade is, it just represents a deep need for you to discover your true self. It's like, have you been being who you were as a child in order to please people or to keep up with certain images or appearances, okay? We also have here dissipating. Like I said, just no sense of purpose, no feeling, not even a feeling. It's an energy of creativity, no desire really. You may have the desire, but you're not willing to act on it, to step into yourself confidently, giving yourself permission to shine. It says, I am more than I think I am. But because you are in this energy of imbalance, it's like, okay, well, you may be in a space where you're telling yourself that, yeah, it would be stupid for me to try to do that. Who am I to do that, right? But in balance, you're going to say, you know what? I'm not going to sit here and just let things happen to me. I'm going to make things happen. It's that kind of energy. This next card is abundance. And abundance, let's see. This is all about your money mindset and your ability to choose, right? Your ability to choose to make wise decisions over foolish decisions, and what you are willing to do or temporarily sacrifice in order to gain what it is that you desire, or being okay with the need to make a different choice in the way that you're doing something. And then last but not least is the miracle card. And the miracle card is just what it says. It is about that energy of pessimism, pessimism versus optimism, right? Being open to miracles happening and being possible for you. Because something that I don't think I did say, a lot of times during those teenage years is when we realize, oh, I would love to be famous to do this. I would love to be famous to do that. But at some point you may stop dreaming, or you may dim your light, or not really have a desire to pursue, thinking, oh, this will never happen to me. But this miracle card says there's a need for you to still believe that certain miracles happen every day, from small to large, right? So it's definitely about taking a more optimistic view and being willing to allow and let your light shine. Here on the Solar Plexus Chakra Wisdom cards, the Solar Plexus Chakra Wisdom cards, we have just different areas of focus. One is that freedom of choice, being comfortable with having the freedom to choose. Like I said, making wise decisions or bad decisions, but knowing how to respond to them. We also have that warrior energy, being confident enough to know that you are powerful, you are resilient, and you are a go-getter. You're capable of accomplishing the things that you desire. There's also an energy of inner wisdom. This is an energy, and comes as a result of trusting your intuition, trusting this wisdom that you were born with, and being able to use it and apply it. We also have a card about self-worth and self-esteem, how you view yourself, and that's outside of what others think of you. This is all about what you believe to be true about you, right? An I am statement is the most powerful I am. Like that song by Eminem, I always think of that, where he says, I am whatever you say I am. If I wasn't, why would you say I am, right? First of all, I'm never going to say I am whatever you say I am, because no, I'm giving you my power. So that's why y'all, I'm telling you, you have to really be careful and aware of the lyrics that you are singing, but yeah, that's why. But I am whatever you say I am is just absolutely not true. And then when this chakra is in a state of imbalance, then you are allowing that to be the case. Like, well, somebody said this, right? So I have to be, especially as a parent, you have to be very careful of the things that you say about your children. Like, oh, he's so bad. No, if you don't want them to be bad, quit telling them that's who they are. You know what I'm saying? So that is super important. We also have here this card of oneness and unity. This is about allowing yourself to see yourself as a part of the society and a part of the community, instead of separating yourself or feeling like, we are not the same, or I am not like them. This is definitely about empathy and sympathy. It's about unity. It's about inclusion, an energy of inclusion, being able to find common ground with people, other than being able to pinpoint what all the differences are. You also have here self-discipline. My self-discipline and my willpower significantly help me in my efforts to move forward and grow. So that's the willingness to continue to move forward in courage, to continue to move forward in determination, even if you're faced with a challenge, because you're in a space where you're trusting how strong you are, you're trusting how capable you are, and you're trusting your ability to take the actions that you need to take. You also have here personal power, which is all about expressing yourself, being yourself, expressing your truth, and allowing yourself to have a positive influence on the people and the situations around you, instead of allowing the people and situations around you to influence what you think about yourself and how you move. Does that make sense? Definitely moving with integrity and being confident enough to stand in that energy, being confident enough to be seen. And also this is about not allowing your personal power to become egotistical, to become so important that you manipulate or exploit other people, right? So it's definitely about the balance of those things. You lastly have self-confidence. And how do we build self-confidence? We learn to trust ourselves. We learn to trust our abilities. We learn to believe in ourselves. We learn to value ourselves. We learn to face our fears and to avoid doubting ourselves. And we learn to trust in a higher power, because if we can't trust ourselves and source, we won't be able to trust anyone else. So people who have a solar plexus chakra imbalance may also be highly distrusting of everyone around them. Y'all, I'm telling you, it is all so super connected. Uh-oh. I didn't mean to do that. My bad. With my whole hand in front of the thing. I want y'all to be trying to read my palms and No, that's silly. Anyway, so let's just end on some affirmations, and it's just a few. You can definitely, like I said, create your own, write your own, look some up, listen to some on you, find some on YouTube and other websites if you just Google. But I am calm is one. Remember, we talked about that anger issue. I am calm and stand calm in the face of adversity and challenge. I am calm. I am confident. I am powerful. I am motivated. I am successful. I am important. I am capable, and I value myself. Okay? Because what? If you don't value you, yeah, it's very likely that either people around you won't, or you've been feeling unvalued by the people around you. So you may need to make some choices and decisions to cut people off or walk away from those people who don't love and support you in that way. So guys, I hope this was really helpful. I really had a good time. I'm so mad. Well, I'm not mad at myself. It is what it is. But I was going to say, I'm so mad at myself for the way that I procrastinated, because boy, when I got into it, I was like, dang, it's just so interesting to me. So I hope you got that same vibe as well, guys. Let me know how it resonates for you, how it affects you, or if you've experienced it. Like I said, at some point, we are all going to experience, even if the chakra is really open and activated, we're going to experience overactivity and underactivity, overstimulation, understimulation at different times in our lives, depending on I just saw 5111 on the clock. Depending on what's going on in our lives and around us, but it's okay, because we are healing, we're growing, we're taking our power back and all the things. So the next one, guys, is the heart chakra. And it's so crazy because I always say how, like this one's really important, this one's really important, but that heart chakra, because our soul essence, our true selves is love, our divine love overall, that heart chakra rules everything, honey. Is one of them anyway. So we'll get into that. I can't wait to do that. Let me know how this was helpful for you guys. I'd love to hear from you. Bye-bye.